This is Visitor's Book and I'm Maija, your host. In this program, we're going to be meeting with diplomats and foreigners who are here in Pakistan, and we're going to find out what they really think about the country. So our guest today is Jamie Lahardy, a British polo player who's come to play here in Islamabad. So let's go meet with him. Hi Jamie, so nice to meet you.
Good morning, Maija. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course, such a lovely weather today, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So what brings you to Pakistan this time around?
I'm actually here playing polo. I've been coming for many years here, since 2005,
oh,
and
wow.
playing in Islamabad this month, and then the season moves on to Lahore.
Great.
And so yeah, here till mid-December.
Awesome. And you actually have a match today.
I do have a game today, yeah.
Yeah.
This afternoon at the Islamabad club.
How do you usually prepare for a match? Probably not like this usually.
This is a bit of different preparation, but it's always wake up, check the horses, make sure the horses are all good and all ready to go, and then I do some stretching, do a bit of yoga.
Right? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And
Cool.
lots of hydration, and then off we go.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to play. It's match day. You wake up in the morning with a bit of anticipation and excitement. So yeah, I'm excited to go and play later.
So how many times have you actually been to Pakistan? Like you said, first time was in 2005 already.
I've probably been here 10 or 12 times.
Oh, wow. Almost every year, right?
Almost every year, yeah.
That's so cool.
I love coming here.
I mean, you know, the country has obviously gone through so much over the years.
Sure.
How would you say, like, what's the biggest change you've observed?
To be honest, I've just seen a certain side to Pakistan, and I've really enjoyed the thing that's always been a constant for me is the people and the hospitality.
Right.
So in my eyes, I haven't seen a lot of change. Everyone's just always been incredibly hospitable towards me, and so I always have a lot of love for this country, and I always feel very privileged to come here and get looked after so well.
Oh, that's so nice. Do you feel like you always learn something new about the country every time you come here, though? Or is it always kind of the same, like, oh, okay, here we are again?
Yeah, so the thing that I've seen change the most is it just feels safer and more open now.
Yeah.
It's getting easier to travel here.
Right.
The visa situation's a lot easier now. So yeah, I think the country is opening up, and I love coming here.
Yeah. So you have an interesting story because your grandmother actually came here, like, what, 40 years back?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
She and a bunch of friends support a charity that help provide facilities for the betterment of donkeys and horses.
Oh,
and so they sponsored a water trough, to be put into old Lahore.
Okay.
And so they sponsored it, they all travelled over here.
Wow.
And we actually ended up being welcomed and looked around by one of my best friends,
no way.
who I've played polo against and who lives here, and to this day is one of my best friends here.
Oh, so that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a lovely story, and so I've only ever heard of good things from Pakistan throughout my life. So when I got the opportunity to come and play here, I jumped at it.
Really?
Yeah.
So what exactly did your grandma tell you about Pakistan? I mean, it must have been totally different back then here.
She said it was amazing. Again, the same thing that I've experienced is the hospitality of everybody.
Right.
And the care of the animals. I've always been impressed about how well the majority of animals look here.
Really?
So that's been very heartening to see.
That's interesting because there's been some conversation about these issues here in Pakistan, but at least in the polo circles, you've seen animals being treated very well, right?
Yeah, I've been treated very well, and on the street I see the condition. I work with horses, so I quickly see the condition of a horse or a donkey, and generally I see the animals, for the majority of cases, looking very well, which is good to see.
Yeah, and I mean, let's go back to the first time you came to Pakistan. Do you remember, like, the first impression you got when you got off the plane? Was there anything that, like, surprised you here?
Well, I came into Lahore, and so it's a pretty busy city, and I'm a country boy, so just going into any city, there's a lot of energy there, and there certainly was when I went into Lahore. And
it was a bit overwhelming.
It can be a little bit overwhelming, but the street culture is incredible. You drive through Lahore and you're just fascinated seeing everything that's going on.
Exactly.
All the industries, the markets, and what's
you
being
don't
made.
see that in the West
You
anymore.
don't see it. It's all closed behind factories. So here it's all exposed to you. So
all right there. And I remember the first time I personally came to South Asia, like just seeing like all the life like was being lived on the streets. Like you see like barbers, you know, shaving somebody's beard right there, and you know, you're just like, oh my God, what's happening?
It's great. It's a very open culture.
Exactly. So when you came here in 2005, you were still living in Britain, right?
Yeah, I was playing in England in the summers, and then luckily I have a job where I fly summer to summer, so I do the summers in England and then the winters down in the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Playing in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, sometimes to South America. So I was very lucky and privileged to travel the world doing the sport I loved.
So, I mean, obviously in Britain, Pakistan is a very familiar country because of the history, and you have a big Pakistani population there. Do you think that people still have like many misconceptions about the country there in general?
Yes, I think that the media's played a part in showing it in a different light to what you experience when you come here. In fact, it's almost the opposite.
Okay, yeah.
So that's, hopefully more and more people will feel confident to come and travel here and enjoy Pakistan.
Yeah, and I mean, if we talk about the period of like 2009 when things really started kind of going downhill in terms of the security situation here, what did it feel like for you to kind of hear about these things that were happening in Pakistan since you had already been here? Did it ever make you feel scared of coming here again?
Yeah, you read about this, but whenever I've traveled here, I've always been looked after extremely well, and I always feel very safe. You read about it even back then. So there's checkpoints that you go through, so you see that there's security here, which obviously in England you don't see that, or in Europe. But apart from that, I didn't feel unsafe at all.
Ever, yeah.
No.
So let's talk about your family background a bit. Your family, it's like an army family, right?
My father was in the army, my mother was a pediatric physio.
Okay.
And we traveled the world, and then my father worked with the UN.
Okay.
And he became a military attaché.
Wow.
So by the time I was 18, I think I'd lived in 6-7 countries.
No way. Where did you live?
Studied in Hong Kong, Cyprus, Morocco,
fascinating.
Holland. My father traveled to Lebanon, to Rhodesia. We had.
So you didn't really grow up in the UK, actually?
Yeah, not entirely. I went to school there.
Okay.
But all my holidays were off in another country, which is very
fascinating.
Fantastic way to grow up.
Wow. So I mean, you lived in Morocco, so you already had an experience of sort of a similar kind of a country as Pakistan, right?
Yeah, one of my best friends was Muslim. I was obviously growing up Christian, and we were chatting about this briefly when we were kids. We realized how similar these two religions are.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very similar, and I think it's been portrayed that they're very different, but they're not at all.
Yeah.
You know?
So when did you first get to watch a game of polo? Where was that? Do you remember it?
Yeah, my father played in Hong Kong.
Okay.
On these little Burma mountain ponies. Wow. And so he played there, and so even as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, when he finished the game, I'd run onto the field, I'd put his hat on, and he'd jump me on his horse, and I'd walk off, and I remember just the smell of the horses, the cut grass, the sweat from the horses, the stick, the sound of it. It's this amazing sport that I think captivated me from a very young age.
So you kind of looked up to your father, and you were like, that's what I want to do too.
Yeah. And very early on in life, my parents were putting me through for a good education, and very early I said I want to be a professional polo player.
Really? So it came from like all the way back there?
It came from all the way back there.
Wow.
Love of horses, and he passed the love of the sport down to me.
So you were always like an animal lover then?
Always an animal lover. We always had animals. There were always horses around, and I grew up living outside in these wonderful countries.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky, very privileged to grow up like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How did the opportunity to come to Pakistan come about? Like, did somebody invite you here, or
Yeah,
how did that happen?
there was a phenomenal player here, Hissam Ali Haider, known as Namu, and he got an opportunity to come and play in England, and we were both playing for the same team together. So he arrived and played with me for 2 years, and we hardly lost a game in 2 years, and we formed a very good friendship, which went all the way through to him inviting me to Pakistan years later. And then I went to his wedding in Karachi.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so he's a very good friend and a fantastic player.
Yeah. All right. So, like, a friend invited you basically here. That's so awesome. And then ever since you kept coming back.
I've always kept coming back.
What do you think it is about Pakistan that makes you want to come here again and again?
There's a polo season every winter, so I've made some good friends here, and I get looked after really well. The hospitality is second to none.
That's the main thing for you.
Yeah, that's the main thing for me.
You don't see that anywhere else?
Yeah, not like here. It's really incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what a lot of people say.
Yeah, so polo is a fantastic sport to travel with. You're always with locals.
Right.
So you get to have local experiences, very authentic experiences everywhere you travel, which is very privileged.
So you're hosted by these friends
You're
as well.
hosted by the people you're playing with, by your teammates, and you form lasting friendships.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, time to take a short break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here in conversation with Jamie Lahardy, a British polo player. So let's talk a little bit about your amazing career in polo. I mean, how long did it take for you to learn to play polo? I mean, it seems like there's so many aspects to it, like just alone learning to ride horses can take quite a lot of time.
My father was a very good horseman, and he did every equestrian discipline. And my auntie was a professional rider. She was a 3-day eventer and ended up going to the Seoul Olympics as a coach.
Oh wow.
So she was a tough horse lady and really taught me to ride well. So I had that.
Like how old were you when you first mounted a horse?
4 or 5 years old. I remember my
that's so
auntie when
early.
she was younger came to live with mum and dad for a couple of years, and so I rode every day with her then.
Okay.
And so from a very young age I was riding a lot and being taught to ride to a very high standard.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
so I had that horsemanship already installed in there, and then from my father's love of polo, I was just obsessed with polo. So whenever I didn't have a horse, I'd be on a bicycle with a ball and a stick, which is all good until you play a neck shot and get the stick stuck in the spokes, and I'd come mum bleeding, and she'd put a plaster on, and out I'd go again. And I'd come back for holidays, and everyone would park their cars in the garages, put their shutters down, because I'd be going up and down the road all day playing polo with myself, you know.
They're like, oh God, there he goes again.
Exactly. So yeah, I played bicycle polo, rode whenever I could, and then in my school holidays as a teenager, I used to go and work in polo clubs. All my friends used to go holidaying around Europe, and I'd go and work as a polo player. Like, I wasn't playing then, but I'd work as a groom right at the bottom, and so I worked my way up.
So you took care of the horses
I took care of the horses and learnt that whole side of it.
That's so nice, yeah,
Early
it's important.
starts, really hard work,
Yeah,
but it's
it
like
is.
any career, you need to learn from the bottom up.
Yeah, and it's
so
very physical also.
Very physical, and riding horses all day. And
yeah, and people think that, you know, riding horses is very easy, you just sit there, but that is not at all the case, right?
normally someone who's sitting there and looks like they're not doing anything is doing the most.
Exactly. That's the
So,
hardest part,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Sitting up straight.
Sitting up straight, being balanced to
Yeah.
help the horse carry you.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's
like a full body workout, seriously.
It is. Like, if I haven't ridden for 3 or 4 weeks and I start riding,
You're sore,
for the first
yeah.
week, you're very sore. So
Yeah, that's true.
it keeps you incredibly fit.
Yeah. So how old were you when you realized like this is something you could actually do professionally? Like you stopped thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna study this, I'm gonna study that. You're like, no, I'm gonna go for polo.
I wasn't the most studious anyway.
Okay.
I was always looking out the window wanting to be outside. I played sport. I loved rugby. I was an athlete.
Okay.
I did every sport possible. My big passion was rugby, and then obviously polo.
Yeah.
So I was thinking a career in rugby or polo, but I'm glad I took polo because less people play, so I had a bigger chance of making it.
Interesting.
But yeah, I was more hungry to play polo.
And when did you start playing professionally first?
I got my first job when I was 19.
Oh, that's pretty young, right?
Yeah, quite young. And I had an opportunity, and someone gave me a string of horses.
Yeah.
Lord Francis Fillmore, and I was in England, just near Henley, and got this opportunity to play the whole season with a string of horses. So
wow.
I went out from mucking out the horses every morning and doing sets to actually playing and stick and balling. And
right.
so yeah.
Did your parents ever own horses, or you just went to ride somebody else's
Yeah,
horses?
we owned a few horses. We didn't have many, but my father was installed pre-season preparation to the horses. So the few we had, we did a lot of preparation for them before they started playing.
Yeah.
To keep them sound and fit through the season.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had 2 horses and a trailer to start with.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
I mean, you have quite a lot of achievements to your name. You've played internationally in 30 countries, I think, and you've been the captain of the England team. You've won international matches. What would you say has been the proudest moment of your career so far?
Obviously, every time you represent your country, that's an honor and a privilege, and so that was incredible to play test matches in 3 or 4 different countries and go to the World Cup as well. That was amazing. We managed to get a bronze medal, and we beat Argentina in the quarterfinals, so that was incredible moment and game. But also winning any Open, I've been lucky enough to play with many teams who have put amazing horses underneath me, and so I've won 9 national Opens around the world, and every time you win the pinnacle event or tournament in that country is a real thrill, and you have to put a lot of time and effort into it, but when you come together as a team and play really well and win a tournament and lift a cup, it's an amazing feeling.
That's awesome. How many years has it been for you now?
I've been playing professionally, sort of 25, 30 years now.
And you're still just as enthusiastic about it?
Yeah, I mean, every time you get on the horse and the ball gets thrown in, you're in and you're on and you're playing.
Wow.
So yeah, it's obviously I'm doing a lot more stretching with yoga as you get to the latter half of your career. Things get a bit sore, but as long as you look after yourself and you look after your body, and every time you get in the match, you're back on and you're 21 again.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've also helped coach the Pakistani team.
Yeah, they came to train with me before the last World Cup, and they all came to Sotogrande to Spain. Okay,
that's where you're based now.
Yeah, so I had the whole team living in my house.
Oh wow.
My wife left for New York, said I'm leaving you guys to it. Very wise, and we had a really good month, and they really bonded as a team. And the Kublai, the head Pakistan coach, came over and was coaching them, and I was just helping him and supporting. Yeah.
So you were preparing them for the games here.
Yes.
Awesome. How would you say? How are Pakistani polo players different from, let's say, British polo players? Can you notice any small things there? Or?
I think the players that have got exposed to better polo, like England's one of the hubs, it's one of the best places in the world to play.
Yeah.
The standard's extremely high, the horses are really high, you get the best players from all over the world there.
Right.
So any Pakistani player that's gone to England and competed has become very similar to any other player that's played in England, and their standard rises. When you play internationally, you're getting more challenged. So the opportunity for local players to go and play abroad improves them a lot. And then the competition here is high. There's more and more people coming into the sport. The teams are getting more organised. The level of horses is going up and up. So I've been very impressed with the way that's continued to happen throughout my time playing in Pakistan.
Let's talk a little bit about the history of polo. I mean, it's pretty closely tied to the subcontinent, right?
Well, and to here. Yeah. So the oldest game in the world is played up in the northern area. Chitral is one of the centres of that.
Right.
And there's this ancient game that's played on top of the hill to this day, every year in July. And it's played at altitude, There's a wall around the field. It's on this incredible place. I haven't been yet, but I'm really hoping that I get the opportunity.
The Shandu Polo Festival
you're talking about. COVID, maybe this is the summer to do it, because maybe I won't be so busy as normal in the season in Europe. So maybe I'll try and get up in July to watch that game and that festival. But that's been played for centuries.
Yeah.
It's an ancient game, and you know, as we all know, Pakistan's crazy about cricket.
Yeah.
But in those villages and towns around that game, it's all about polo.
Is it?
They're obsessed with polo.
Wow.
So local players are real heroes, and there's this tournament every year on top of the mountain. So it's very close. The origins of the game, they're in this area.
Here. Yeah. How did it become so popular all over the world then? Was it with the British who like started playing it here?
Yeah, it started here and then spread down. So it was played in India and obviously in the Punjab up here.
Yeah.
And so each Maharaja had his own team, and the Indian Polo Championship was competed by 40, 50 teams. Each player had 60 horses, and this was the centre of world polo for a long time.
Wow.
And then the British officers took it back to England, and it spread to the Americas and down to South America, and so it spread around the world, and it's played in over 80 countries all around the world.
Where is it most popular these days? What would you say?
I mean, Argentina has the most amount of players in the world, but it's a big sport in England and in America, New Zealand, Australia,
everywhere.
Obviously India, South Africa.
Yeah, the Commonwealth countries.
The Commonwealth countries. So it's played everywhere. It's a small sport, but it's played everywhere.
So, interesting question. You know, people sometimes think that horseback riding is like a girl sport and it's something like little girls want to do. But then you look at like professional competitions, then it's mostly men. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, put anyone on a horse, you have to be brave.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of women. There's a lot of female riders all around the world, and I think it's one of the few sports where women can compete against men. Because if you can ride a horse well, you've got the same amount of strength and power as anyone. So it's it equalizes that.
Yeah.
The women's polo has got huge around the world. It's the up and coming thing. There's 800 female players in England. Nearly half of all the players in the UK are female. And the sport is rising, and there's a lot of sponsorship for women's polo. And so I hope in Pakistan all women and girls learn to play polo and ride. But the wonderful thing about polo is that for guys, we all like hitting balls, so polo enables you to ride a horse and hit a ball. So
you get the two in one.
When a lot of guys grow up a little bit, they then get the team side of it and the ball sport side of it. So then it becomes a complete sport for guys as well as girls.
And I mean, I think I read somewhere that even back in the day, like hundreds of years ago, women already used to play polo. Yeah,
I think there's ancient Persian art showing women playing.
That's so interesting.
All women on the field. So, you know, obviously it's been played by everyone, both sexes, for a long, long time.
So let's see what happens. Maybe there's going to be more female polo players from Pakistan soon.
That would be great to get a Pakistan female
could train
team
them.
there. Yes, I mean, I'm here all the time, so I really enjoy coaching and giving back to the sport. And so hopefully in Islamabad club they had a wonderful academy which has brought a lot of youth through. And now a lot of the players playing here in Islamabad came through our academy. And so that was a wonderful thing. And I've really seen a big improvement in the kids up here and the amount of members and people playing. So that's a real positive for the future.
So can you just quickly explain how polo is played exactly for those who don't know, for example me?
I mean, most of us playing don't know the rules, so it's umpired by two guys that are telling you what to do, but the sport is basically, it's a simple sport, made complicated many times, but you got to get the ball through the goal. And there's 4 against 4. So you have an attack, 2 midfield players and a defence, and you mark your opposite number. So the back will mark the 1, 2 the 3, the 3 the 2, and the 1 and the 4. So it's 4 against 4, and the idea of the game is to pass the ball between each other, obviously at speed, which is a challenge.
Yeah.
But you're looking to pass to your teammates, and each team is looking, when they don't have the ball, they're trying to mark their opposite men and play defense. And as soon as you get the ball, you're trying to play offense. So it's a simple sport, and there's no offside. And it's just get that ball through the goal more times than the opposition.
Yeah. Have you had many accidents? Like, I mean, it's so fast paced, and you know, horses are big animals. You would think like it's pretty easy to get hurt and fall off a horse sometimes.
It's an adrenaline sport. It's an extreme sport.
Yeah.
So yes, accidents do happen. There's rules in the game to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah.
And if you have, the better your horse, the better your brakes, the more safe you are.
Right.
But accidents do happen. We've all got a lot of adrenaline in us when we're playing. So people get heated and it gets really exciting, and you completely forget about the speed you're going and what you're doing. You're just trying to get to that ball or get to the next man. And so you completely forget everything. When you're inside a polo field, you're just playing polo and you can't think about anything else.
All right, we're going to take a short break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here in conversation with Jamie Lahardy, a British polo player. So Jamie, we were just talking about how you play polo, the rules and the history. One thing I'm interested in is, you know, people always talk about polo ponies, but to me they look like just horses. They're not ponies really, are they?
Yeah, there used to be a height limit, so they used to be ponies.
Yeah.
And obviously the closer you are to the ground, the easier it is to hit the ball.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
The sport's developed, and now you're playing on horses, but they kept the word polo ponies.
Okay.
But you are looking for an agile horse. So if it's too big, it doesn't have the maneuverability, the agility. So most polo ponies are 15 to 16 hands.
Okay, so not that big.
Not too big. Ideally, they're 15 to 15.3.
Right.
And they have to, if you have a big horse, it needs to ride like a small horse. So that means that it's got agility, got a good mouth, good brakes, good acceleration. So you're like you're in a sports car. So you don't want a 4x4. You want a sports car that's fast and agility. But yeah, they're all horses. And now the fields have got much better all around the world over the last 20, 30 years. So now there's a lot of people taking race horses from the racetrack, which is the thoroughbred horse, which is the athlete of the horse world. Yeah. And they train them into polo ponies.
Interesting.
So the game's getting faster at the top level.
Right.
So the thoroughbreds are incredibly fast, and they're beautiful animals to work with. They're very challenging. They're very sensitive in their minds. They're very sensitive in their bodies. Yeah. So you have to ask them, not tell them. So you have to be very patient with them.
I can imagine.
But once you've got them trained, it takes 3 years to train a horse into its first competitive game. Okay. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. But when they become good and they start going like a sports car, it's a real thrill to ride them.
Is there a particular reason why most of the horses are mares?
People tend to breed from your good polo ponies. Your best horse, it'll get to an age where maybe it can't play anymore, or now they do embryos, where they take the egg, and so you can still be playing your best horse, but then breeding from it at the same time. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of mares, but also there's a lot of geldings as well in the sport. Okay, so it's not only mares. Yeah, you get a bit of a mix, but a lot of people, if they're importing a horse from around the world into, say, Pakistan, they want the option to perhaps breed from the horse. Course. So that would be the reason. But when you get a good gelding, they're the same every day. Yeah. So if you get a good one, they're amazing to play, and a mare can give you the best game of your life one day, and then the other day maybe she's not feeling so good. So what do you think about the horses that you get here in Pakistan? The standard has gone up a lot. There's a lot of local horses that do play the sport, and there's some very talented ones. There's a big breeding organization. The army have a big depot in
Oh, is
Mona,
it?
and they breed a lot of horses from there. And then you have people buying off the racetrack, both here and from Europe.
Okay.
And a lot of horses coming in from Argentina.
Right, so a lot of them are
So
coming from
now
abroad.
the pool of horses here is varied,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of, the quality's gone up a lot. And the horse care is getting better and better every time I come back, which is great to see.
That's awesome. Do you actually form a bond with the horses that you ride? Like, I mean, it's a bit different from, you know, like car races and stuff like that. It's an actual real animal.
It is, but just like a really good car, if you bond as a polo player with your best horses. So the ones that play best for you are the ones you fall in love with.
Right.
So yeah, your best ones you get a real affinity for. And but yeah, you do feel an amazing bond with the horses.
Yeah.
And when you get that connection and you work together on a live animal, it's an amazing experience.
Is there a horse that you'll never forget in your life?
Yes, I have one that I bred at home, that Mum and Dad bred at home. It was born at our house, and when it was born, all the horses from all the other fields came and put their heads over. The sun was coming up, it was dawn, and Sirocco was born there and then became one of my best horses. I played the British Open on him, and he's with me now in Spain. He's still going, he's 15 now.
Oh, wow.
But he's family to me.
Oh, so can you tell me what exactly you're doing in Spain? You moved there quite recently.
I got offered a job there to go and play for a team, which I managed and coached and played professionally for.
Right.
So my wife and I moved there to Sotogrande. It's right in the south of Spain.
Okay.
Mountains and the sea, and we can see Morocco actually from
awesome.
where we take the dogs to walk at our local beach. So beautiful place to live, and there's 15 world-class polo fields there. And we have an all-round climate, all year-round climate. There's 300 days of sunshine a year.
Amazing,
So
not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. So you're happy every day, sun shines a lot.
Very
So
different from Britain.
Very
I hear.
different from Britain. I did one winter in England, I couldn't hack it. So I had to find somewhere where was close to the UK, but had the weather, and I found it in the
does affect
south.
your mood, right? The weather.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Sunshine makes everyone happier. So I love that in Spain, waking up to sunny days.
Yeah.
There's a lot of early mornings. It gets hot in the summer, so you get up very early with the horses, and it's just beautiful.
So now you also have a family connection to Pakistan. Your wife, is her like mom or dad is
Her
Pakistani?
mum's from here, and she has a lot of family in Lahore and some up in Islamabad. So
how did you meet her?
we went to a friend's dinner in Lahore. I was playing there. She was over from New York seeing family.
Yeah.
And we met, and
The rest is history.
and the rest is history. Had a romance and ended up getting married
In Lahore.
in Lahore.
How was that?
Incredible experience.
Yeah, you did the whole like dances and
Yeah, we did a
traditional
Mendi,
dresses.
and it was all traditional, and my friends and family came, and
awesome.
we all got dressed up in local dress, and it was an incredible experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
So mostly when you've been here, I mean, did she live here in Pakistan at some point, or
She spent a little bit of time here. She grew up in the States.
Okay.
And had a career in New York.
I see.
She
What does she do?
She's a fashion producer.
Oh wow.
So she
very
takes-
different from what you do.
Very different from what I do, but she travels a lot, which
Yeah.
was a good common thing with us both. So we traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And she spends time in New York, Paris, and Milan. COVID, after COVID,
Put
hopefully
an
that'll
end to
start
that, yeah.
again. And now, we're living down in Spain.
That's awesome. How much have you gotten to see of Pakistan? Is it mainly just the cities that you come to and that's it?
Yeah, the tournaments, I'm always very busy here with polo, so I haven't had a lot of time off.
Yeah.
So I'm always playing tournament to tournament, so it's mainly been Lahore and now Islamabad.
This is the second time you're in Islamabad.
Second time in
Oh, that's not a
Islamabad.
lot. How do you
Yeah.
like it?
I love Islamabad.
Yeah, it's such a
Beautiful.
comfortable city, right?
Yeah, and we're in this part of Islamabad, we've got the mountains and the hills all around us. The air's amazing, food's incredible, it's very green. So I
yeah.
really like that. And
How do you like Pakistani food, by the way?
I love Pakistani food.
You do?
Any home cooking is exceptional to me.
Yeah.
I like a bit of spice.
That's
I go
good.
bright red and sweat a lot, but I love it. So, but the home cooking here is just
so cool.
unbelievable. So good, so good.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Could you ever imagine moving to Pakistan?
I couldn't imagine living here all year round.
Because it's too hot,
The
yeah.
summers are tough here, so I really like being in Spain next to the sea and the mountains.
Sure.
But it's looking like I'm going to spend more and more time here every winter.
That's so great.
So hopefully we'll be here for 3 months, 3-4 months a year every winter.
Yeah.
And we'll spend our time between Grande and Pakistan.
Yeah. I mean, aside from meeting your wife through polo, you've also gotten to meet some pretty interesting celebrities. For example, Prince Harry, Prince William. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was when they were younger. They really got into polo. Prince Charles loved the sport.
Oh yeah.
Became one of the best amateur players in the world. And William and Harry took after their father and played a lot of polo. And so at the time I was playing at the top end of the sport in the UK. So we played quite a few games and matches all together, which was an incredible experience. And
are they any good?
They were good young players. Yeah, they were good. They were good. William was a bit more of a thinker. Harry was a bit better on the ball, but they were both good polo players and really lovely guys.
Yeah.
They were, and polo was great for them because they were treated very much as normal, and and they were just William and Harry playing polo with the boys, and so they really enjoyed it, and we all enjoyed time with them.
You know, polo has this image of being a bit of an elite sport. Would you say that's correct?
It has an image as an elite sport. Obviously, horses are involved, so
it's
you need a level of finance.
Yeah.
So it's never going to be the people's sport. But I would say it's more of an extreme sport than an elitist sport, because you have to be very brave, and to learn to ride is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And then you've got the speed of the sport, and so and it's one of the few sports where amateurs can play with professionals.
Right.
So you can actually be on the same field as an international and be an amateur player, because there's a handicap system in the sport, which enables amateurs and professionals to play together. So it's unique and incredible, and it's really tough to play. So I take my hat off to anybody that has a go, and accepts that challenge to try and play polo.
And I mean, especially here in Pakistan, I guess up in the north, you know, anybody can play polo. It's not just the elites, right?
Yeah, if you're from those towns in the north, you can play.
Yeah.
So
everybody.
And there's different versions of sport. Bicycle polo has become a big thing.
Really?
Which is a really fun way to get the kind of
Do you ever do that still?
Not so much anymore. But I had enough fools, you know.
Okay. How many horses do you own right now?
We've got 16 in Spain. I have 6 or 7 what I call professional horses, and then a string of like 10 which are for amateurs that are easy, easy to ride, easy to play, and safe for amateurs who want to learn the sport or come and play a weekend down there.
That's basically what you're doing in Spain. You like provide trainings and.
Yeah, I play professionally, but then I also train people, and people come for a weekend or a month to come and train with me and improve their skills. Okay.
Do you think the Pakistani team will be back in Spain soon?
Hopefully, we'd love to have them back.
Yeah.
We'll see when the next World Cup is and where they choose to go and train. But I hope I can form a good relationship between Pakistan and people will come to Spain in the hot summers here and enjoy training and living down there. Exactly.
So the Pakistani team is doing quite well, but there's still some room for improvement, right?
Of course, always room for improvement, and you know, with horses and polo, you always keep learning. But the Pakistan national team has got a strong history in the World Cup.
Right.
They've qualified for pretty much every World Cup.
Oh wow.
So yeah, they've got a strong tradition in that, and there's some really good young players coming through. So I see a bright future for Pakistani polo.
And what do you think needs to be focused on still?
I think the academy here in Islamabad was a wonderful thing, and bringing in good players help improve the level, which they do. And personally, I would like to try and help Pakistan polo and the young players through my experiences and sharing them with those, and hopefully we can get a bit of travel in from between Pakistan Spain.
Yeah.
And people can come back and forth and improve their skills out of the season.
Hopefully this corona situation will improve soon. It must have affected your career quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, polo is completely reliant on travel. It's a very international sport, and there's an international family, and everyone travels all around the world with the sport. So COVID has really hit the sport hard. Even though they've played behind closed doors, it's affected the sport like it has many sports and many businesses all around the world. So he's hoping and praying that we can get it under control and go back to living a safe and good life, traveling again. So I think we've all missed that.
Yeah. Is this your first trip post lockdown?
It is, yeah. I went to Rome, to Italy, just before I came here.
Yeah.
Which was, I love Rome. What a place to visit. Again, amazing people. I was playing the Italian Championships there.
Oh wow.
But yeah, apart from that, we were locked down in Spain.
Yeah, and you didn't even get to go home to
haven't been to home. Normally every summer we have a full house of people coming to stay with us, and everybody had to cancel their trips. So it's been difficult not to see family and friends, and it's the same for all of us.
Yeah, and I mean it's still a bit challenging to travel, right?
It is. The rules keep changing. You never know what it's going to be when the day of even of your flight. So it's challenging to travel. So we just all have to stay safe and well, and hopefully it'll open up sooner rather than later.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
All right, then it's time for the rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Here we go.
All right. Shalwar kameez or jeans?
Shalwar kameez in the heat.
Okay, yep. Lahore or Karachi?
Lahore.
All right. Hot or cold-blooded horses?
Hot-blooded, hopefully with a cool head.
English countryside or northern Pakistan?
I haven't been to the northern area, so I have to say English countryside, but I really want to go up there. I've heard it's as beautiful in a very different way to the English countryside.
Let's hope you get to see it soon. Biryani or dal?
Biryani.
First thought that comes to your mind when I say Pakistani weddings?
Colour.
Absolutely. Islamabad polo grounds?
Beautiful.
Truck art?
It's amazing.
Your favorite polo player?
There've been many, but I'd have to go with Carlos Cressida.
All right. Your favorite word in Urdu?
Shukriya.
Great. The best kept secret about Pakistan?
The hospitality.
Good one. The best thing about Pakistan?
The people.
Great. Okay, then you get to write in our visitors book.
Thank you.
There you go.
There you go. My writing's really bad. I just said the people experience here.
Okay, let's see what you wrote. The people, hospitality, and food. I am always humbled by my experience here. Great. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I do hope you get to see a bit more of the country next time around.
I will for sure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
That's it for today. Please join me again next week, and don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts at indus.news. Stay home, stay safe, goodbye.